They said the end wouldn't come in our time. They lied. Right now, wars rage, false prophets rise, and while the world scrolls, prophecy unfolds. You, yes you, are living inside the warnings Jesus gave in Matthew chapter 24. But most won't see it until it's too late. Hello, agents of wisdom. Today we unlock the 7 end-time signs Christians worldwide can't ignore. Signs unfolding right now, on every continent, in every language, whether you believe it or not. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. Matthew chapter 24, verse 5. In South Korea, Lee Man-hee, founder of Shincheonji Church, claims he's the promised pastor who will bring salvation at the end of days. His followers believe he has secret revelations from God. When COVID-19 hit, Shincheonji became a global headline. Its secretive gatherings linked to one of the largest early outbreaks. Lawsuits, outrage, betrayal. But for thousands, Lee is still seen as God's chosen vessel. In Brazil, a man named Henri Cristo walks the streets in white robes, wearing a crown, declaring himself the reincarnated Jesus Christ. He leads a small community near Brasilia, where followers obey his teachings, believing the world will soon witness his final revelation. The media calls him a cult leader, but his followers call him the Second Coming. False messiahs, false prophets. They wrap deception in holy words, twist faith into control, and the world, still clapping, still watching, still following. Jim Jones, leader of the People's Temple, claimed to be a prophet of God. In 1978, over 900 of his followers died in Jonestown, Guyana, in a mass murder-suicide, drinking poisoned punch on Jones's orders. Mothers, fathers, children, all believing they were entering a better world. In Nigeria, Olumba Obu leads the Brotherhood of the Cross and Star, claiming to be the God of all creation. His followers number in the millions across West Africa. Some believe he is immortal, a divine figure walking among men. To outsiders, it's controversial. To insiders, it's prophecy fulfilled. Also in Nigeria, T.B. Joshua, founder of the Synagogue Church of All Nations, became globally famous for miracle healings and televised deliverances. Sick people flew in from every continent, hoping for supernatural cures. But behind the crowds came whispers, investigations, lawsuits, heartbroken followers, a ministry surrounded by controversy, hailed by some, condemned by others. This is not the distant past. This is now. This is prophecy, alive, pulsing, dangerous. Sign 1, deception, false prophets, false Christs. But here's what they never told you. Deception isn't just a test, it's bait. And once you bite, the war begins. Sign 2, it's not coming, it's already here. You see the headlines, but you don't see the war behind them. Ukraine, Gaza, Sudan, Taiwan. But prophecy doesn't just name nations. It names wounds. It names tremors. It names hunger. It names a world unraveling. It names sorrow. It names betrayal. It names the hunger that spreads when men chase power and leave ruin behind. And while the world watches the front lines, the real war rages unseen. Behind the borders, behind the weapons, forces stir. Not of flesh, not of blood, but of spirit. Sign 2. Wars and rumors of wars. The world shudders. Heaven watches. And this is only the second strike. The land cracks. The ground hungers. The world starves. Africa waits for rains that never come. Asia counts fields that never bloom. Latin America watches harvests wither. And in the West, the shelves thin, the prices rise, the hunger creeps home. But famine isn't just about bread. It's a hunger of the soul, a dryness in the spirit, a thirst for truth in a world drunk on lies. It's a curse as old as rebellion. And it's not just the body that starves, it's the soul. And when the ground shakes, the world calls it science, but prophecy calls it groaning. Creation cracking under the weight of sin. This was only sign 3. The next, sign 4, is the one we never want to face: persecution. They will hand you over to be persecuted. You will be hated by all nations because of my name. Matthew chapter 24, verse 9. Across the East, in China, underground churches multiply even as pastors vanish overnight. In North Korea, owning a Bible is a death sentence. In Nigeria, villages wake to smoke, Christians hunted by night raids. In India, churches are burned, believers beaten in open streets. But persecution isn't just there. In the West, it's subtler. The silencing of voices, the rewriting of laws, the slow squeeze to deny his name quietly, so the world won't push back. Before we continue, tell us where you are watching from in the comments. Like this video and subscribe, because the next signs are even darker. The next sign is the heartbreak of betrayal. At that time, many will turn away from the faith and betray and hate each other. Matthew chapter 24, verse 10. In Europe, cathedrals echo empty. In France, church fires rise, Notre Dame, countless small parishes. In the United States, megachurches fracture, the flock scatters, scandals erupt, and faith splinters. Carl Lentz, Ravi Zacharias, Mark Driscoll, Joshua Harris, Marty Sampson, men who led thousands, now fallen, broken, or renouncing the faith. But betrayal isn't just at the top. It's here, in families, in friendships, in the pews. In China, some report underground churches to save themselves. In North Korea, children turn in parents, knowing death waits. In the West, friendships crack, accusations fly, betrayal travels at the speed of a click. Hearts grow cold, trust shatters, and the faithful weep. This was sign 5, the betrayal, the falling away. Sign 6 is the rise of lawlessness. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of many will grow cold. Matthew chapter 24, verse 12. In San Francisco, brazen shoplifters empty shelves in broad daylight. In Haiti, gangs carve up the streets, police stations fall. In Mexico, cartels kidnap, extort, murder with impunity. In Brazil, favelas answer not to government, but to guns. In Sudan, neighbors slaughter neighbors, fueled by ancient hate. In Nigeria, bandits storm schools, stealing children for ransom. In Europe, protests spiral to riots. In the United States, cities fracture under waves of division as law becomes suggestion and truth a casualty. But the rise of lawlessness isn't just in the streets, it's in the soul. The quiet betrayal, the small lie we no longer flinch at, the cruel word we justify, the vow we break and no longer regret. We watch war like entertainment. We consume outrage like hunger. We cheer rebellion, mock restraint, and laugh at righteousness. And so the world grows colder, and hearts turn to stone. This is sign 6. The rise of lawlessness and prophecy will not be stopped. Sign 7, the final echo. And then, the last tremor. The last shiver in the fabric of the world. The one that will catch every breath, every pulse, every watching eye. The 7th sign. The gospel, not hidden, not quiet, but proclaimed to all nations, every tongue, every tribe, every land where the wind scrapes over bones, where the ashes of history still stain the ground. In North Korea, secret believers whispering prayers underground, risking execution with every word. In Iran, house churches flicker alive under the shadow of death. In China, unregistered gatherings, silent worship, faces lit by the faint glow of smuggled scripture. But don't be fooled. This sign doesn't come softly. It crashes against kingdoms. It shatters regimes. It threatens the thrones of men who call themselves gods. The gospel cuts through barricades. It rattles the bones of the persecutor. It delivers mercy with a blade. And when the last ear hears, when the last voice speaks, when the last boundary falls, the end will come. No warning, no pause, no time to bargain. Sign 7, the gospel, preached to the ends of the earth, the final echo before the heavens break open. The signs are here. You've seen them. The question now is, will you ignore them or will you awaken? Agents of Wisdom, like this video, subscribe, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Let's warn the world together. Note: the images shown are artistic representations and do not depict real people or actual likenesses. Thanks for watching. God bless you. See you in the next video.